Hi everyone, and welcome to this video looking at the Song of the Moo update for Oxygen Not Included, which has recently gone live. This is actually a huge update that brings quite a few new things, so let's jump right in. First up, we should of course look at the gassy moos. They've got the biggest rework in this update. If you want to get your first gassy moos, then this is still the same, so you'll need to head to the Moo Planetoid in the Spaced Out DLC, or take a biological cargo bay to an organic mass in the base game. But here, rather than 4 gas grass seeds and 1 moo, you'll now get 12 seeds and 2 moos. Plus, there's a new way to get more, and happy moos will now call for friends. They've been given a condition for accumulation, which increases by 6% if they're fed gas grass and tame. That means you can get a new moo after 17 cycles. Meaning they are now not only sustainable without going to space again, but you can increase their numbers with enough gas grass. Quickly looking at gas grass itself, this has now changed and needs 25 kilograms per cycle of dirt, as well as its original liquid chlorine. But the light requirement has halved from 20,000 lux to 10,000, so they will grow more of the time if you're using sunlight at the top of the map. For sun lamps, you can now keep the 12 gas grass plants happy with 2 sun lamps. In testing though, I found a ranch of 6 gassy moos produced 40 to 50 kilograms per cycle of natural gas, giving an average power output of around 700 watts with a natural gas generator. As it takes almost 2 kilowatts to run 2 sun lamps, this is still not even close to power positive, and gets even worse if you consider the power needed to cool down chlorine into a liquid. But they do now make what is basically milk, with a new liquid added called brackine. This is taken from the moos with a new milking station that has a piped output. Also note that you'll need a dupe with the Critter 2 ranching skill, so this now has a use beyond the attribute bonus. When happy, a moo can be milked every 4 cycles, so you can get 50 kilograms per moo per cycle on average. Looking at brackine itself, it's quite similar to water, just like milk. You can actually use it in water coolers for a little extra morale boost and stress reduction, or in a new critter fountain that we'll look at next. But before jumping onto that, I have to mention the super cool bottle artwork that is clearly milk. The second way to make brackine is with the new plant pulverizer. This can take nosh beans, sleet wheat or pinch of peppermint with water to make brackine, but this is quite resource expensive even though it takes no power. The second use for brackine is in yet another new building, the Critter Fountain. By filling this with brackine and letting the critters drink from it, they will get a bonus of plus 5 happiness for 1 cycle, drinking 5 kilograms. Critter happiness has also been reworked with some interesting results. The more critters in a room over the normal limit will now give a bigger penalty to happiness for overcrowding. But by using the Critter Fountain, you can offset some of this penalty, meaning you can now go beyond the normal stable limit. Here, hatchers using the Critter Fountain can accept another 5 critters, going up to 13 versus the normal 8. That's kind of neat, although the benefit is a little questionable, as you could simply build 2 ranches instead for the same effect. What's probably more interesting though, is that with this boost, critters can now be ranched without a grooming station, just using the fountain to keep them happy. Of course you'll need to produce enough brackine for them, but this definitely has a lot of potential. The other use for brackine is to make another new material, solid brackwax. This can be done in another new building, the brackwax cleaner, that kind of works like a desalinator and does need to be regularly emptied by dupes. 100 kilograms of brackine makes 9 kilograms of brackwax, 81 kilograms of brine, and outputs 10 kilograms of carbon dioxide to the surroundings. So what is brackwax used for? Speeding up dupes in transit tubes. You can configure an access point to use a smooth ride, accepting 10 kilograms of brackwax and lighting up the bar on the access point. By using this, dupes get about a 25% speed bonus and consume 100 grams per use. That's not a particularly strong buff, but might be useful on larger bases. And the second use for brackwax is as an ingredient in the molecular forge, where we can now make a brand new material, plastium. To make 100 kilograms of plastium needs 15 kilograms of thermium, 70 kilograms of plastic, and 15 kilograms of brackwax, so is unsurprisingly a late game space material. but that does make sense as its benefits are very strong. Like Thermium, Plasium gives a plus 900 degrees Celsius overheat bonus to machines, plus has a melting point of over 1800 degrees. That means you can use plastic buildings like pumps and ladders in hot environments that you couldn't before. I still don't think this is quite as useful as Thermium itself or supercoolant, because the plastic buildings don't have a lot of critical uses, but it's nice to have the option. Moving on, another critter related change is to the critter traps, which are now made of metal ore and not plastic. Plus they can now be reset by dupes with a critter ranching skill, so both nice changes there. Now onto a really important change that is easily missed in the patch notes, but conduction panels have been improved. And that means even steam turbines can be cooled with a conduction panel alone. But you will have to make sure the coolant is cold enough when coming in. Next up is yet another new building. That's right, there are a whole lot of them in this update, with the Bleachstone Hopper now giving a much easier way to make bleachstone without using squeaky puffs. To use the building you'll need salt and a small amount of gold to get bleachstone and sand at the cost of 480 watts. As salt is very easy to get, especially from salt water geysers, easily sustainable bleachstone is now possible. An average saltwater geyser will make 3 kilograms per second of salt water, and if you boil this and use all the salt, you can get a steady 42 kilograms per cycle of bleachstone. That's enough to farm 84 domestic waterweed plants or run almost 3 geotuners, which you could use on the saltwater geyser itself to immediately make salt. So overall this is now a really easy way to get more water out of saltwater geysers. And the changes keep coming, with raw eggs now becoming edible, although you probably don't want your dupes to eat them. And there are new recipes available for them. In the electric grill, you can combine raw egg and sleet wheat grain to make soufflé pancakes. Or combine omelette with lettuce and fried mushroom in the gas range to make mushroom quiche for the maximum morale boost. Of course, to supply these you'll need quite a large supply of eggs, which is probably best done from breeder pacu being fed seeds, as they make a lot of raw egg for each egg cracked. Finally then, up to space, there are a few changes to meteors which now spawn higher up, making the meteor blaster a bit more effective. Plus, blasted meteors now drop 25% of the material, not 0 like it was previously, so that's a nice change to get those resources more easily. The blast shot maker itself also received a small change and now accepts petroleum through a pipe input and can't be hand delivered anymore. So that is it for the big changes in the huge Song of the Moo update for Oxygen Not Included. I hope you enjoy all of this new content, and thanks for watching.